Congregation Bible Study for the week of May 18th to 24th, 2026. Lesson 86 and 87. Practical Comments. Lesson 86. Jesus resurrects Lazarus. Question 1. Tell the story of how Lazarus was resurrected. Jesus had 3 close friends who lived in Bethany, Lazarus and his sisters, Mary and Martha. One day, Lazarus became very sick, so the sisters sent a message asking Jesus to come quickly. But Jesus waited 2 more days before traveling there. By the time he arrived, Lazarus had already been dead and buried for 4 days. Martha met Jesus and said that if he had been there, her brother would not have died. Jesus comforted her by saying, "I am the resurrection and the life." Later, Mary came to Jesus crying, and when Jesus saw the sadness of the people, he also wept, showing his deep love and compassion. Then Jesus went to the tomb and told the people to remove the stone covering it. After praying to Jehovah aloud, Jesus called out, "Lazarus, come out." Miraculously, Lazarus came out alive, still wrapped in burial cloths. Jesus then told the people to free him. This amazing miracle showed Jesus' deep love for people and proved that Jehovah had sent him. It also strengthened our faith that the resurrection is a sure hope. Question 2. What did the Pharisees want to do when they heard about Lazarus? When the Pharisees heard that Jesus had resurrected Lazarus, they became very upset. Instead of putting faith in Jesus, they planned to kill both Jesus and Lazarus because many people were believing in Jesus after seeing the miracle. They were afraid of losing their power and influence over the people. Their hatred was so intense that they even bribed one of Jesus' apostles, Judas Iscariot, with 30 pieces of silver to find an opportunity to hand Jesus over to them. Lessons we can learn from the story. Lesson 1. Martha teaches us a powerful lesson about faith. Even while grieving, she told Jesus, "I know he will rise in the resurrection." She didn't fully understand how Jesus would help her right then, but her confidence in Jehovah's future promise never wavered. When we face the loss of a loved one, we can imitate Martha by keeping our eyes fixed on the resurrection hope, trusting completely in Jehovah's power to undo death. Lesson 2. Judas Iscariot's actions provide a sobering warning about the deceptive power of materialism. He allowed greed to take root in his heart, ultimately valuing 30 pieces of silver over his priceless friendship with Jesus. This reminds us of the vital need to guard our hearts against the love of money, ensuring we never betray our loyalty to Jehovah and his organization for worldly gain. Lesson 3. This account teaches us that Jehovah is a God who always hears our prayers. When Jesus prayed at the tomb, he said, "Father, thank you for hearing me. I know that you always hear me." This assures us that Jehovah listens to every sincere prayer we offer. It also shows that Jehovah has power over death itself. By allowing Jesus to perform this miracle, Jehovah gives us a guarantee of the future resurrection. This strengthens our faith that Jehovah will soon fulfill his grand purpose to eliminate death forever under his kingdom. Lesson 4. We learn how deeply compassionate Jesus is. When he saw Mary and the crowds weeping, he didn't hold back his feelings, he wept too. This teaches us that Jesus deeply feels our pain and is not indifferent to our sorrow. Furthermore, his bold action at the tomb demonstrates his absolute obedience to Jehovah and his readiness to use his God-given authority to undo the effects of sin and death in the new world. What we can learn from the cited scriptures. Psalm 68 verse 20. Psalm 68 verse 20 teaches that Jehovah is a God of saving acts. The resurrection of Lazarus proves this clearly. Even though Lazarus had been dead for 4 days, Jehovah empowered Jesus to bring him back to life. This shows that Jehovah not only has the power to save people from danger but also from death itself through the resurrection hope. This strengthens our confidence that Jehovah will soon resurrect millions who are sleeping in death. Lesson 87. Jesus' Last Supper. Question 1. What did Jesus promise the apostles? During the Last Supper, Jesus made a covenant with his faithful apostles, promising them that they would rule as kings with him in heaven. He also called them his friends and promised to tell them everything that his Father, Jehovah, wanted them to know. These promises gave the apostles great hope for the future. Question 2. What important lessons did Jesus teach the apostles during his Last Supper with them? Jesus taught them the importance of humility, reminding them that true greatness means seeing oneself as the least important. Most importantly, he commanded them to love one another just as he had loved them, because that love would identify them as his true disciples. Lessons we can learn from the story. Lesson 1. The apostles' argument reminds us how easy it is to let pride creep into our hearts, even among faithful servants of Jehovah. Jesus used this moment to teach that greatness in God's eyes is the opposite of what the world values. Rather than seeking recognition or honor, we should focus on serving others. This principle helps us maintain peace and unity within the congregation. Lesson 2. This account teaches me that Jehovah is a God who keeps his promises. Just as he rescued Israel from Egypt, he made an even greater provision by sending Jesus to give his life so that our sins could be forgiven. This shows that Jehovah deeply loves mankind and wants us to have a clean standing before him. Lesson 3. From this account, we learn the importance of remembering Jehovah's acts of salvation. Just as the Passover reminded Israel of their deliverance from Egypt, the Lord's evening meal reminds us of Jesus' sacrifice and the forgiveness of sins it makes possible. Attending the memorial each year keeps these vital lessons fresh in our hearts and minds. What we can learn from the cited scriptures. Luke 12 verse 32. This verse is Jesus' reassurance to his faithful anointed disciples. The little flock refers to the limited number of 144,000 who will rule with Christ in heaven. Jehovah has lovingly chosen and approved them for this heavenly kingdom. Jesus called them a little flock because their number is small compared to the great crowd who hope to live forever on earth. This connects directly to what Jesus said at the Lord's evening meal, when he told his faithful apostles, "I promise that you will be kings with me in heaven." So Luke 12 verse 32 confirms that it is Jehovah's will to grant heavenly rulership to Christ's faithful followers. They need not fear, because this is God's own promise, not merely a human hope. If you enjoyed this congregation Bible study, please share and comment what you learn. And don't forget to subscribe.